Welcome to a Gobbet Plus 51, Honey, from November 6, 2006. Bees have a bad name amongst us skeptically inclined. Senator Harkin was under the delusion that bee pollen cured his hay fever, and when a senator gets a bee in his bonnet, they pass bills. The result was the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine, one of the biggest wastes of tax dollars ever. I know you can't really blame the bees. They are not responsible, but still. Today I saw a lady with severe arterial insufficiency and as a result chronic lower leg ulcers that continually get super infected. What do? Long-term antibiotics are problematic as they lead to resistance and allergic reactions. The wound care people had her on Silvadene charcoal patches that were quite painful to take off. I gave my usual suggestion for a different form of wound care, which, as always, resulted in a rolling of the eyes by the wound care nurse. I was told as a medical student by a plastic surgeon, never put in a wound that you wouldn't put in your eyes. I think that's reasonable. You don't want to damage new tissues, he said, and that's what most wound care does. So as a result, for years, I have packed wounds with soft contact lenses. Soft, not hard. In the first year of my practice, I was writing a note on the nursing station when I heard a patient start screaming. This was before I learned to ignore the suffering of others as I became a full-fledged member of the medical industrial complex. Investigating the source of the scream, I discovered that her surgeon had ordered sugar for the wound and the kitchen had mistakenly sent up salt. Talk about a metaphor come to life. Upon further research, I found there is reasonably good literature to support both granulated sugar and honey in the treatment of wounds, burns, and ulcers, and the data suggests that both therapies are equal to, perhaps better than, standard medications. Now, this is not a great literature, but I think good enough to draw some tentative conclusions. Don't bacteria like sugar? Well, not at the concentrations found in honey. Ever been to France and seen the preserved fruits? They preserve them in sugar. The same reason there is sugar in strawberry preserves. It's why they're not called strawberry rottens from Staphylococcus or E. coli. Honey and sugar are inexpensive, and they all kill bacteria that are often pathologic on the skin. It doesn't kill new tissues, and it absorbs all the gunk made by the wounds and bacteria. And you get to participate in the naturalistic fallacy with your patients. So, is honey the wonder drug that works wonders? Nah, that's aspirin. But I doubt it is as good as a wound vac, but not everyone can afford wound vac. How is honey supposed to work? Well, quote, honey has several well-known properties responsible for its antimicrobial activity. These include high osmolality due to the high concentration of sugar, low pH, and the production of hydrogen peroxide, which, after dilution of honey, is produced by glucose oxidase originating from the bees. In addition, unknown floral or bee components may contribute to the activity, unquote. Is it effective in burns and wounds? Yeah, he says with a tentative quaver in his voice. PubMed, like the verb Google, honey and sugar, and as a search term you will find an interesting literature filled with studies that are not all that great but suggestive. Even the irascible Cochrane Reviews concludes that, quote, honey may improve healing times in mild to moderate superficial and partial thickness burns compared with some conventional dressings. Honey dressings as an adjuvant to compression are not significantly increased leg ulcer healing at 12 weeks. There is insufficient evidence to guide clinical practice in other areas, end quote. Not a ringing endorsement of honey dressings, mind you, but I often choose the soup. And if you read all the literature, though, it's somewhat suggestive. There was even an article in Clinical Infectious Disease this year that shows the effects of honey on skin pathogens. It kills them dead. Quote, antibiotic susceptible and resistant isolates of Staph aureus, Staph epidermidis, Enterococcus faecium, E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Enterobacter cloacae, and Klebsiella were killed within 24 hours by 10 to 40% volume of volume honey. After 2 days of application of honey, the extent of forearm colonization in healthy volunteers was reduced 100-fold, and the number of cultures was reduced 76%, end quote. That's interesting. It's a literature that's made difficult by small numbers and poor design and the lack of placebo control that looks like honey but isn't. Many of my patients have no insurance, little money, and fewer resources. I think there is enough data and biologic plausibility that I suggest it to some of my patients, although I spend more time with the caveats than usual. The most dangerous words in medicine are, quote, in my experience, end quote. But in my experience, honey works. I am, of course, deluding myself. But at least there is some data, and unlike the homeopaths, I'm not diluting myself. The relevant references were Cochrane Database, Systemic Review, 2008, October 8, Honey is a Topical Treatment for Wounds, and Medical Grade Honey Kills Antibiotic-Resistant Bacteria in Vitro and Eradicates Skin Colonization, Clinical Infectious Diseases, 2008, Volume 76, page 1677. That ends Gobbet Opus 51.